Alison Rosen. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Alison, with her the good times never end. Alison Rosen, doing wavy pencil dance again. Alison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone, hi, hello, it is me, Alison Rosen. Welcome to another exciting episode of Alison Rosen is your new best friend. I'm here with return guest, Andy Kindler. Welcome back.
Thank you. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. I want to audition for the next harmony. Alison Rosen, she knows the fun will never end. Alison, woo, ooh, yeah. Now, I'm very sorry about that. You know, I don't know. You could definitely take that out, or you could enhance it.
Take it out?
Yeah.
We're going to listen to it on...
Alison Rosen. Did you like that kind of singing? Alison Rosen. Oh, how about this? Alison Rosen. Home. That sounded bad. I'm sorry.
I know that
I'm on something.
What are you on?
I don't know. It feels good, though. It's starting to kick in. I haven't taken anything, but maybe the acid I took in college is kicking in.
Finally.
Mm-hmm.
Finally. Are you seeing anything weird or just thinking weird
Once
things?
in college, you talk about your magical moments. You know, you always hear about magical moments on LSD. One time I took LSD in college. I dropped the blotter. You don't even know what I'm talking about. Blotter acid. You wouldn't even know. No, you don't.
I'm 1,000 years old.
You watch Dragnet or something, and you think you know all the... Yeah, so I did blotter acid. So it was a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
I dropped it, and that's a tragedy. I was at college. That's all I wanted to do at college. And if it didn't happen, what's the point of living? And so it fell out of my hands, and it was raining.
Oh, you literally dropped it.
I literally
dropped acid.
Yeah, I literally dropped the acid I was just about to drop.
Right. It's raining.
It's raining.
Acid rain. Sorry, were you going there?
No, because I never go where the actual joke is. I'd rather...
that was very nice. I feel like you stepped aside. You could have so easily criticized my obvious hacky joke.
No.
Instead, you celebrated it.
No, I started thinking about Purple Rain because of how much I love Prince. I actually thought his song was Acid Rain, Acid Rain. Something seems sincere about that kind of singing. Acid Rain.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so here's the deal. I don't like when people overemphasize the vibrato.
Right.
I started a joke. See, they could do it. The Bee Gees could do it, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I dropped the blotter acid, and it was raining, and it lands on a blade of grass.
Ooh.
I looked down. I was a rock and roller. We don't have to get into it, but well, very popular band. Very popular band in the 78, 77, upstate New York. I'm sure you heard.
What were you guys called?
Unfortunately, Silver Dagger is what we were called.
It's so earnest.
It was from a Joan Baez song.
That's what I'm saying.
But it sounds like a heavy metal band.
Mm-hmm.
Silver Dagger. We'll kill you. We'll cut you with our music. So that was amazing. So I looked down and I rescued the acid and therefore had a good day. And that's my message to the kids. You must find the drugs even if you lose them or you won't have a good day. That's what I tell the kids.
It's uplifting.
It's wrong.
It's helpful.
It's facetious. I love saying online when people don't get me. And you know, Allison, some people, they don't get me. And what I was saying before we started rolling was, I'm not a person, as you know, looking for confrontation. Well, I don't like to say things about people. If I have nothing good to say, it means that things are going well. Stop laughing at your own material, Andy Marr.
Okay. Well, let's just jump right into this then. I
love that you asked for questions today, and you got great questions.
I got some good ones.
Yes, and I was around. Usually I'm not around. I'm either, I'm on Twitter 24 hours a day, but I'm usually on my own shtick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I just realized there's a timeline. Did you know that?
On Twitter?
Yeah, you can see everybody else's tweets.
Oh, you just welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like Trump. It's all narcissism.
Right. I realize you're joking. However, I actually so rarely really comb the timeline. Usually I just am on my own little section of Twitter.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the difference between me and a narcissist like Trump and Ricky Gervais, and I'm not comparing Trump to Ricky Gervais. I just made sure to put them in the same sentence. Is that I'm aware of my narcissistic tendencies. What's frightening is when you're not aware of it. It's like people, like, you know, I loved the original Office more than I loved my office jobs. No, I love the original Office. My favorite show. He was my hero. This invariably happens. This is the funniest guy I've ever seen in my life. I loved it so much. I watched the original Office a million times, and then I watched extras, and I loved a lot of that too. I didn't love it as much, and then it just is amazing to me that you can be a comedian being completely not self-aware of how you're coming across. So, for example, he should be thanking me right now.
Okay.
That I'm telling him that you can't put out every picture of yourself as if everything in life strikes you hilariously.
And he hasn't thanked you?
He hates me. He hates me. See, here's Ricky Gervais's thing. And I think this part is hilarious. He claims that things don't bother him. Mm-hmm. And he said every other tweet is about how he doesn't care what other people think. So obviously he cares what everybody thinks.
Right.
And then he tells his fans that he's ignoring me, but he's not ignoring me. He
told his fans that he was ignoring you?
Yeah, he said, I ignored him for 3 years. And here's the thing that made me think that maybe if I ever was alone with him in a room, I should actually be scared like he's an actual villain. He goes, I had pity for Andy. Have you ever used the word pity in your life in relation to, like,
myself?
To
No.
self or a friend?
No.
I have pity for you, Allison.
No, I think the only time I've ever used it is like, don't pity me.
Right.
Like someone else is doing the pitying.
Right.
I'm not capable of pitying.
Maybe it's British. Maybe everybody but I don't think so. It's him.
So
he's
it's
like an evil villain.
Yeah.
I will destroy. So then this other guy wrote an article about me in this. I won't even give him street cred. Wrote this like crazy, what I would say is like a crazy article about me, and then all of Ricky Gervais's people read the article like it's just a facts. It's facts daily. Andy Kindler is a terrible person. He did this, that, and the other thing. He doesn't like new atheists. What's the matter with him? He gets upset when people hate Muslims. There's something wrong with Andy Kindler. What is it? I never thought I would be criticized for not judging people. Like, I don't care if you're Muslim. I don't judge you by your religious affiliation. Was I onto this nonsense last time?
Not exactly. But it's interesting. Do you think of yourself as not judgmental, or just in these particular areas you are preaching a non-judgmental viewpoint and you're being judged for it?
I don't think there's anybody more judgmental than me. It's what my family invented being judgmental. My family holds the patent on it.
Okay.
They get a royalty. Now, how am I going to remember? Do I have to listen back to myself to remember to do that joke? What did I even say? I don't remember what I said.
Last time?
Right now.
Oh.
A second ago. Judgmental.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so my whole problem is that I'm too judgmental, but I'm not too judgmental. I'm judgmental of everything too much, including being judgmental. So
it's like the opposite of all things in moderation.
Right. I'm trying to get rid of the evil voice in my head that says I'm no good. So I already am struggling with that. People have that from how they were raised or whatever. So yeah.
Where do you think yours comes from? Because I know that you had a pretty, like, you got, this is what I remember from the last time you were on. I was, please, I hope this doesn't sound offensive, but maybe it'll be fun if it does. I would like to know the truth.
I went off mic there for a second.
You're still off mic.
Yeah,
My
because here's the thing, Allison. I don't trust that I am going to remember that.
Okay, you need to write something down then.
Right, and so I feel like
I'm taking notes. Do you want me to email them to you?
Yeah, that would be great. If you emailed them to me, that would be fantastic. I didn't know you were taking notes. And still, I don't trust you because I think I'm going to be abandoned. So I just made a decision there. Should I continue thinking about writing down judgmental because it's rude to write down judgmental, or should I bring people into the process?
Bring them in.
I brought them into the process.
Yeah. What does your little comedy notebook say on the
This
front?
is a new company. Now, you see, just because you're saying that, I'm not promoting them, but unless they make a deal with me or something.
Okay.
You know, I could say, you know, like you want me to say good things about your podcast? $100 a tweet.
Pat, value yourself more. But
$250. It's called Laughly.
Laughly.
Comedy your way. And they gave me a nice. And you know what I say about these Laughly people?
What do you say about them? They have
Not
nice notebooks.
nice notebooks. It's not that they're not the first person to change comedy words
Right.
into words that don't exist.
Sure.
I think I came up with comedy.
Is that comedy that calms you down?
No,
Relaxing comedy?
And you know how I like to spell it, with a K.
Oh my God, I did not see that coming.
All right, now I'm going to be the host now for a second and get you back to that moment when I was here last time. And what you noticed.
Right. Oh yes, thank you.
See? And people say I can't, I don't focus. What did I say? They said I don't do? Focus.
I was surprised that you consider yourself a pretty happy guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then I thought, but why is that a surprise though? I think that, like, am I projecting something onto you that doesn't exist? Because I think you seem sort of like a lovable, cranky curmudgeon. Like that's Andy Kindler, the character. Would you agree?
I would agree, but I think that your instincts are correct. How long ago was that?
I want to say like 2 years ago.
Okay. I've never been a depressed person, but I didn't realize that I was overrun with anxiety from OCD behavior. So I actually had to go into therapy, and I'm on antidepressants, and I'm way less angry than I was then.
Oh.
So
then when
you were sensing is like me telling, I've been trying to
truly amazing.
Yeah. I've been trying to tough it out my whole life. You know, first I got medicated for ADD, and it was a miracle. And now I got medicated for OCD. OCD is something you can be medicated for. That's the thing.
How was it manifesting? And by the way, I must make it clear, when I just said I was amazing, I hope
No.
I was joking.
No. That being amazing, you should take credit for. Not like in a Tony Robbins way. Not like in a Trumpian fashion, or as I call him today, Trumpolini. That's my new word for it. Why did I roll that out with such gusto?
Wait, is that a noun, Trumpolini?
But Mussolini.
Oh.
Trumpolini. I call him Adolf Trump and Trumpolini.
Okay, I like it.
I
like
try to
both
get
them.
a Nazi or a fascist reference in. No, but you should be. I think that sometimes my instincts aren't good, but like, and I don't want to make it like women do have better instincts, but I think that they can have better. I think they can be more in touch with their instincts, and men can tend to be in their heads more. I don't want the new atheists coming at me. So, yes. So I did not realize that I had OCD, which I've had my whole life, but I had it started to go away in my late 20s, but then it came back with a vengeance. And so I didn't realize how angry I was, or put it this way, I was defensive about my anger. So that's been my whole thing, is like trying to judge myself less harshly. And to be able, because I don't want to not be able to make fun of Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais, but I used to go through like this torturous, am I right? Am I wrong? You know, that's from my family. I have to be right, or else it's not. It's not acceptable for me to have this, to say this. So I have to be justified. Like there's no gray areas in the way I was raised. I'm not blaming my parents, even though it was their fault.
Doesn't sound like
only their fault. There were offers to
100% their fault.
There were offers to bring in better parents. They turned it down.
Really?
Better parents could have taken over at any time. They wouldn't take the lump sum.
Okay, so how?
So you were right. Is what
That's
you're saying.
yeah.
And that means you should become the next Dr. Laura.
Is there an opening? What happened to the old one?
Dr. Laura's gone, isn't she?
I don't hear anything about her anymore.
Yeah,
I'm sure she's still around.
Even though she's talking, she's done.
She must be, because I really haven't heard anything from her lately.
I would hope that in our lifetime, and this is hard to say as a curmudgeon, but I would hope in our lifetime we see the end of the Judge Judy, Dr. Phil, Simon Cowell types. Because I think what they're doing... See, now that I'm in therapy... And by the way, I certify with Guinness that I am the oldest Jew to have entered therapy.
Yeah, this is news to me that you had never been in therapy.
At age 60. Now, I know I'm not supposed to say my age, Allison, and I told you specifically to not bring up my AARP card, not talk about the great deal I had off of the senior Denny's menu last night. But I had.
I'm sorry. It's journalistic instincts. Yes. I had to go there.
Yeah, someone's going to go there, and so yeah. But that's very old because it doesn't fit the stereotype of a Jew.
No, you should have been in therapy a long time ago, me.
Oh, you're in therapy too?
Well, I'm actually currently not in therapy, but I started going when I was in college.
Oh, see, that's good. You worked on yourself. I wasn't like I didn't want to work on myself. I also didn't trust a lot of the therapy's going through weird things. And I found a good therapist, and that's it. I'm not telling anybody about it because I don't want anybody horning in on my I just want
on your sessions.
Yeah. Well,
on his availability.
One of those obsessed client things. But the thing I was going to say was just about people who have OCD. It's one of the things that's kind of easily treatable. I still have it, but the therapy's been great, and the antidepressant is an SSRI, which is meant for.
Which one is it?
I'm on fluoxetine. It's Prozac.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not endorsing Prozac. However, if that's in the cards, I'm totally willing to go full bore on an Enbrel. I don't have arthritis. I'll say I do. Hi, I'm Andy Kindler. I'm not a world famous golfer. I'm barely athletic. But did you know that I suffer from you notice on those commercials they always go, if you have a thing not based on another word you've never heard. Mm-hmm. Not ketoacidosis. If you have a hard situation, but it's not ketoacidosis. It sounds like it's like a Mary Poppins. Mm-hmm. We dropped a pen here.
I dropped a pen. I didn't even go for. My producer dove on it.
I thought you were going to chime. You're not chiming in.
Well,
I thought you felt last time that you felt that it was prohibitive. I don't know what I'm saying. Really.
That did come up last time.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to.
He didn't have a mic, but you were asking him questions, and he didn't have a mic. And then, look, now he has a mic.
Yeah,
a lot. Look. So much has changed since then. Jeff has a mic. You're medicated.
Yeah,
I had a baby.
We're both happier.
It's so great.
Let's just talk about what's really going on. There's a silverfish up in the corner up there on the ceiling. I don't know whether to...
Where is it?
End the podcast or move or both. It's directly north of you.
Well,
do you see it?
Don't worry about that. That's not a roach, right?
No, I think it's a silverfish that's brown.
Let me tell you something. When I have an extermination company...
you do?
As you know, I'm in with Daryl Issa. Daryl Issa and I are in business together, and we have a thing where we yell at the bugs. Step away from the ceiling. You're in trouble. I never worry about it. I don't like silverfish because, first of all, if they wanted to be liked, why would they name themselves silverfish?
Right.
But I don't think I don't think you get infested with silverfish. You find one every 4 years. You kill it and hurt plaster. But it's not something that you need to worry about.
I killed one earlier today in another room. That's two. That's an infestation.
Aren't they a book? Aren't they paper oriented?
I think they enjoy glue.
They
read book glue.
You know that silverfish read more than Trump? Put that in the notes that you send me. Silverfish. That's not a bad joke. Silverfish. Man, I like that. That is actually the most smatteringly
That's like
sound.
We recognize your attempt. That's what that clap says.
It's not that silverfish read more than Trump,
okay,
but they comprehend more.
Right.
Silverfish. Are you going to put those in the notes to me? All right.
So how did the OCD manifest?
Well, and I don't want to be the guy who comes on a show and talks about my OCD unless I can get a solid one-man show. Mm. You know, I was going to write a one-man show about my ADD, but I couldn't focus enough. You know, I have ADD. I don't know what the initials stand for because I don't have the focus. This is, I would say, almost a apocryphal story. No, it's not. When I was in my 20s, I thought that when I was driving, that there was a possibility that I may have hit something, even though I didn't see anything.
Okay.
So I would go around the block and see if I hit something. Well, then I realized that's not going to work because, Andy, you probably hit someone who's crawled off into the bushes as they go down to the police station to report you. Mm-hmm. So this was the late 70s, and I went to the free clinic out here, and I asked the lady there, and she goes, "That's woo." She was like, "Whoa." I said, she was supposed to be a therapist.
Mm-hmm. Not so judgmental.
Well, you're not supposed to go, judgmental. You're supposed to go, "Whoa."
What, is she your parents?
Oh, that sounds bad, she said. Oh. She was like Ed McMahon for some reason.
So, but you knew that this might be something worth talking to someone about, which is why you went to a free clinic to talk about it?
It was affecting my life. There was a time period,
like you were having obsessive thoughts, hence the OCD.
But it was in those days I was only aware of it in relation to that. Like, I had no germ things. I don't have any germ things now.
Okay.
There's certain things like you would have
Right.
none of those things. I will eat off of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I will eat the floor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying that I'm mentally disturbed. All right, I shouldn't do it. Those jokes aren't funny anymore.
So you're having invasive thoughts.
Right, but only about specific things like, did I leave the pilot light on? Mm-hmm. Once I thought I started a fire in Yosemite. Couldn't get it out of my mind. Just kept reading the paper every day. Back in those days, you had to read the paper or something.
Yeah, it would take so long to find out.
Well, you couldn't
done
find
something
anything
like
out
that.
instantly.
Right.
If you did, it was like from Tom Snyder or somebody like that. And he was like, "Oh, very good. Oh, someone's just handed me a telegram. Herbert Hoover has died." That's not even a good Tom Snyder. And Herbert Hoover died a long time ago. But if Herbert Hoover had been alive and he was able to go in a time machine, there would be no civil war. That's what Trump's saying today. Trump is saying today. Trump says, "Civil war. Why?" So anyway, I went to get help, and this lady couldn't help me. I don't want to say lady because I'm a misogynist. I'm a misogynist for other reasons. Okay. So she said she'd have to ask her supervisor about it. So then I just got kind of like, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of help here. And I think back then it wasn't as known. There are people who think they've mailed someone in an envelope. It's
Wait,
like OCD type
They've
thing.
mailed, like put
Yes.
someone into an
Yeah,
envelope
look, you know
and
how
sent it?
someone like me, I'll check the envelope 5, 7, 25 times to make sure to check. So this has gone so out of control for them because look, it's not much less rational than me thinking I hit something that went off into the bushes. So but what happened was it started to fade, and it used to be like for hours I think about each incident. Then it would start to fade. It wouldn't bother me, but I didn't realize it didn't go away. It just took up habitation in so many other activities. Like on Twitter, people will observe that there's something wrong with me, and I'm trying to deal with it. But it's like when you have OCD, it's like I say something, now I have to wonder how people reacted to it, and now I have to defend myself online, and it's all this, and then I have to check. There's nothing better if you have what they call checking than Twitter, because there's always
checking is an actual
Checking.
OCD term.
Yeah. So
Like, okay.
yeah, it means like it's like the compulsion
Right.
is that you can check.
Right.
So you do check. So I don't think Twitter was meant to be like 23 hours a day or. So I'm trying to get a more productive life without hating myself.
And how's it going?
Good. See, now I could say I'm happy, and I wouldn't be lying like I did to you 2 years ago.
But you thought you were happy?
I thought that I thought I was. Well, I wasn't aware of what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Was your wife?
Yes, because I would be like distant and things like that because you're never in the moment kind of a thing. It's like my brother's like that too. I mean, he's a business, he's an investment banker, so he can actually justify why he's on the phone every second. But it's the same ailment,
Right.
But he's probably OCD. But like for him, because he loves business, he probably doesn't want to change it. But for me, I need to have a life. I mean, I know that the interaction area of Twitter is exciting. And
Fulfilling
on
yeah.
all levels. But I have to maybe once a week do something else. A little Sudoku on the weekends.
Something else on your phone for
Right,
sure would
yeah.
be good. Yeah, I often think, what if I just didn't check Twitter for a really long time? I can't do it, but I think about the freedom that would be involved.
Well, I thought initially as one of my things was I would take myself off of on the line, but I can't. You see, I need to learn how to. It's like, if you have a problem with it's like people always talk about food. It's like, well, you have to eat food, and we know so little. That's a whole other topic. We know so little about food, and we have so many assumptions about food. But it's like I have to find a way to navigate the world with my problems, because if it's not Twitter, it'll be something else. You know what I mean? And I have to promote, and I do have to. I like
Right.
it. I like promoting myself, and I like jokes, and I like having fun, and I like being honest, and I like finding out. Sometimes Twitter's the only time I know what's going on.
Right.
Is by Twitter, but I have to figure it out, and it just takes some time.
When you get embroiled in an interaction, is it like they've besmirched the good name of Andy Kindler, or is it the fun of putting someone in their place, or do you get upset by what someone said? Any of the things I'm saying?
I think it's a combination of
Okay.
all of that, and sometimes I like when I come up with a good slam. It makes me happy, but I don't like to be in the mode of confrontation, war, trolling. I don't like to be in a trolling. Because everybody has a little bit of a trollish. I mean, you can even use the word troll as a positive thing in a way. Like sometimes I heckle people on TV, like news people, because I feel like, they're smeared Hillary, and I just want to be able to say to them how I feel. They have a bigger megaphone. But I don't know. What was I saying?
I was asking what it is that hooks you into an exchange.
Right.
Something fractious.
Okay. So, for example, like I looked at one thing, interaction I had last night. What tends to happen is, like, I think I know the person, or they're in comedy, or something about them makes me think like it's not a robot, and that I can actually talk to them, which is fine. I don't want to ever lose that. But it just became about this Stephen Colbert thing, and my whole thing was like, I'm willing to hear anybody's point of view on it, but that joke is the Stephen Colbert joke is not homophobic.
I don't even know I think I saw something of this in your Twitter timeline, but I
Yeah.
don't know what the Stephen
Well,
Colbert
if you
thing
watch
is.
this Colbert thing, I have to say you have to watch it to see how he terms the relationship between Putin and Trump. And he does it in a sexual way, but what he's really portraying is the domination of Trump by Putin. There's no sexual preference involved in it.
Right.
In other words, like, that act exists between men and women, two women.
So people,
And the point he's making is a point has nothing to do with someone going, you cannot look at that joke and go, you're portraying men this way. No, he's making a statement about what that relationship is. Now, I think it's like anything else. It's like, I'm hesitant to use the word, I don't probably never use the word whore, or I never use the word bitch, or there's words I don't
it
use.
sounds so natural coming out of your
Hey,
mouth.
bitches. hey, bitches, are you up in my grill? Yeah, so I don't. But the point was, like, so that this person, when people are found out that they're wrong like they accuse you of something that's wrong, I just get enraged that they won't admit it, because I admit that I'm wrong all the time. I don't understand this mode
Refusal
where you
to
go.
ever, yeah.
The guy's like saying, "Oh, you're just backing up comics because they're attacked." He doesn't know me. Obviously, that's not true. I've criticized so many jokes before that I thought I didn't like the joke. I'll say if I don't like the joke, you're allowed to do the joke. I'm allowed to not like it.
So just so I understand the background, are the pro-Trump people saying that Colbert used a slur or was politically incorrect or something?
There's different levels of it, and this is absolutely part of what's been happening for the last few years. Just like Russia has hired these people. Like, I was blocked by WikiLeaks once, which I thought was funny. So then I started to get heckled by this other account that had a lot of followers, very few following, but it was like, this is an account that people listen to or something. And after about 12 or 13 or 14 interactions, their English slipped a couple of times.
Oh,
and then but I wasn't thinking back then about all what they do when they hire these people. These people could have been Russian people or whoever, and they used language very well, but if it's not your first language,
right, eventually
you will slip up at one point. So, there are people who are Trump supporters, so they want to say that the liberals who are always complaining that Trump is vulgar, look at your guy. You don't care when this guy is vulgar, So
what about Clinton?
Yeah. So they are starting in with this thing of like, they'll use homophobic just because they're trying to find a way in to get him off the air or fire him or whatever the thing is.
Right.
So you have a percentage of people like that. Then there's a percentage of people who don't get Colbert. They didn't get him when the thing with the Chinese thing happened. You don't get him. But comedy, and I'm not trying to lecture, even though I sound like an idiot. Comedy is not. It is. You don't take the words and make a judgment. You have to consider the source, and so
in context.
Right. And so, like, that, what Colbert could have sounded homophobic if a homophobic person was saying it to describe a sex act between two men in a negative way.
It almost sounded like you were going to say homophone book.
Well,
and I'm wondering, is that a book of homophones?
I didn't want to talk about it because it's fingers crossed. I'm close to getting homophone. Is it homophone?
Homophone.
Oh, because homophone is for the homophobic person who has a bad back.
Right. It's better than memory foam.
Right. If you have homophone, what it does is it contracts and wraps around your prejudice.
Sometimes if a homophobic person is checking into a hotel, they might say, no homophone.
Right.
Like, I just need the regular pillow.
Sometimes if a gay person calls me up, I go, home the phone for a second. Home with the phone for a second, please. Home with the phone. And then I'm the bad guy because I call my friend a homo. Oh, I'm wrong. See, people think there's like no gray areas. Like, people think you either have to accept that someone's going to use the word homo or it was like, we have to agree that homo is cool to use. It's just like when people don't understand about retarded. It always drives me crazy because, why don't you call people retarded? Because that was a word that became a negative. It's like saying, Einstein, you spilled the milk, Einstein. My friend Joel Madison would always go, when did Einstein become negative? Right. Nice going, Einstein. You can't even do long division. So it's like that. I don't know. I'm rambling.
Well, you were saying something about the word retarded.
Oh. Because the word retarded has started to be used to call someone stupid, which is also a word that is, I try not to use, but it's hard not to. But
so
those words came from like a doctor, stupid, idiot, moron. All
right.
Those things. So because it starts to get used negatively, only negatively, the people who are labeled that because they're mentally challenged or whatever the current word is that's acceptable.
Right.
And it's not acceptable because we're a bunch of pussies. I can't believe I said pussies. When I first came out from LA in '78, I said that word conversationally, and I didn't realize it was like not cool. Like when my girlfriend at the time, other people, and I felt like such a guy from the island. Hey, don't be a pussy, yeah.
We use the word pussy to describe women.
No, it was to describe somebody. I didn't see it as gender specific.
Oh, I see.
But it is. I just wasn't aware of it.
Well, okay, so if
pussycat,
if stupid and moron,
idiot too,
idiot,
pinhead, those are all based on actual either misunderstandings. It's like someone calling someone a mongoloid or something.
Well, so what is an acceptable way? What's an acceptable word for what all those words are trying to get at?
I think it's something like mentally challenged or something like that.
I don't mean people who are actually mentally challenged. I mean like some asshole on Twitter. I guess asshole.
Oh, well, see, I've struggled with it because I have to sometimes use different adjectives. So Like my friend who's like a genius guy, he's a comic. I always forget his name, and I've met him so many times, and he's just like a genius. He explained this whole thing to me. So, but I think like stupid and those words, moron, they're so far now connected from the original
Right. I
thing.
don't think you'd ever find on like a bill that goes to insurance the diagnosis of idiot or something.
Right. So I feel like, but it's also generational. I never would have used the word retarded. So it always strikes my ear weird.
Right. I'm going to have trouble giving up idiot.
I don't think you should, because I feel like I try to use the ones that are like thick, you know, ones that are not from that. But it's just, sometimes you just want to go. It's like, shut your stupid mouth.
Yeah.
And also, if you're using it to call someone, see, I think of those type of words as almost never, like when I get very mad online and I insult people's intelligence, they think I'm insulting their intelligence. I'm insulting their lack of using their brain. Like when you see these guys online, they don't even know what a hijab is. I saw 5 women at a table in a burger place of various ages wearing not being forced to wear a hijab. Hijab. Am I saying it right? Hijab?
Is it? I thought it's hajib.
No, I don't think it's hijab. I know it's Hijab.
Then what am I thinking of?
Habib.
I guess I just had it reversed.
Let's just call it.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
So all these men online think they know why in every case a woman wears a head covering, but they don't. They don't know, because if you go online, you'll find a million different women saying a million different things about it, and if you look at it separate from your original xenophobic view, sometimes I see that as very cultural. Like I'm used to seeing women who wear various types of things like this, but someone like Bill Maher, because he's all he cares about is making controversy so he can get his name out there. He'll show a picture of a woman with like completely, like looks like she's in a knapsack or something, and then he's like, "Yeah, is this what we're doing?" Like that's become the issue to him, just so that he can justify all this xenophobia and stuff like that. So I am not judgmental on that level. And I'm trying to be less judgmental as a person, but I was raised to not. If you didn't understand someone's religion and they're not bothering you, this whole thing like calling people stupid because they believe in God, even though everybody has a different definition of God. I believe in God, but I don't believe in God. I have doubts. Right. I haven't been communicated with by Jesus or Moses. Or what's another example? Buddha. But I find it
just the Almighty. You haven't heard from the Almighty.
But don't you think we live in a generation now where it's like we have to be embarrassed to say we're spiritual? I think it's so odd. I grew up like influenced by the 60s and 70s, Eastern philosophies, and But I think maybe it's just my limited experience on Twitter with all these accounts like anti-theist.
Yeah, it's interesting. Spirituality did become sort of the punchline at a certain point. At the same time, there are, especially in LA, there are so many people who are very earnestly into yoga and meditation and spirituality and all of that stuff.
That's true. But
I guess that's different than like if you mean a traditional sort of religion.
Well, the way it's happened for me over and over, where I've been gotten into fights with people, but it's also an advantage for me is that my mother, I was raised Jewish. We were all kind of like culturally Jewish, but not really. I could tell I will never be able to have kids. It's the most tired. You are exhausted.
Oh yeah. I was trying to hide it.
There's nothing you can't hide it. You'd have to, if you didn't look this way, you'd be a bad parent.
Okay, good. Yeah. Well, so just a quick backstory on that. I'm not a morning person.
Right.
Been so not a morning person for years. However, when you have a baby, you have no choice.
Right.
So I was trying to fight it for a while where I'd get up and then like, I'll try to, I'd come out into the living room and then I'd try to sleep on the couch while he's in his swing and like, I was like, oh, if he'll just go to sleep for 10 more minutes, like basically trying to hit snooze on my baby for 2 hours. And then I realized I have to just be the person who wakes up early and stays up. So I'm trying to do that, and I'm
Oh,
trying to go to sleep early. But like,
interesting, yeah.
it's
hard.
but I feel so good for like 1 hour in the morning, and then it's downhill after
Wait, didn't
that.
you sometimes get up early in the morning to do radio and stuff, or no?
Yes, but that was always. I actually did. I've done a lot of very early morning live television, but that's like you're almost in a very
Days.
active fugue state, and then you come back home and you go to sleep.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
this is like I got to be up and then
up.
Yeah.
It's the hardest job in the world, and thank God I didn't try it. Be a parent. I'm trying to parent myself, ladies and gentlemen. So.
It's beautiful.
Oh, so I was just to complete that one thought. So these people, my mom converted, and she became a Quaker. And it's a wonderful religion. Now there's some conservative Quakers, but many Quakers are just it's just a beautiful religion. It's like they're not dogmatic, they don't proselytize, they just kind of sit together, and some of them talk, some of them don't talk. And these people online just like telling me my mom is stupid, and it's like you might be surprised, or I don't know if you're familiar with all these like new atheists where they're so mean.
Not really.
Yes, stay away from them.
So wait, they have negative. I think I told you because this did come up last time.
I know.
I went to a lot of Quaker meetings when I was young.
Oh, I don't remember talking about that.
Yeah, because my dad went to Quaker schools and was very into Quakerism. So I'm somewhat familiar. So wait, these people have a problem with your mom because of the Quaker stuff?
Well, they're not like saying, "Hey, your mom sucks, Kindler," but if I bring up, you see, to me, like my actual personal experience with my mother is more. I know more about the religion than they do, knowing nothing about the religion.
Right.
So if your core position is, if your set position is, any example of religious or spiritual expression is bogus, then to me that's like, I don't know how you even get to that point.
Well,
But,
it's so absolute.
It's so absolute. So then you're saying even things I don't know even what they are, just because you're expressing it or you're using the word spirituality, I reject hearing anything about it. You know, what are you going to do? You can't. Those people are never going to. I feel sorry for those people on some level. If I could release their.
Do you pity them?
I pitied him. I try to read like Ricky Gervais and stuff like that. I ignored him for 3 years because I had. It's like when you see Mark Hamill when he did Trump's.
So you were going to say if you could release them from there, you feel sorry for these people.
Oh, well, because I feel sorry for these people in the sense that because I grew up influenced by like positive drug experiences and trying to alter my states and all that kind of thing. I'm open to these things that you don't arrive. It's like, to me, if you appreciate art, you appreciate music, you're using a part of your mind that isn't so analytical. It's not like it doesn't involve analysis. It's like the more you watch comedy, the more you're familiar with what would be hack, and you get to appreciate the more subtle parts of comedy. But the actual appreciation of comedy is not with just your brain.
Right.
It's like you open up and you open up and then you kind of agree, and it can be a transcendent experience. I feel bad for these people because I don't think they're not willing to accept that that's possible. So they would never see it in their lives. And some of the people who are actually talented people, they're brilliant in their field, but they seem miserable.
Right. So I'm not, except for through you, familiar with the term New Atheism. Is that a real term?
Yes, it's a real term. And my joke, the joke I have about it is that when I was a kid, I thought that atheists were just really nice people who were depressed at picnics. Because that's to me, like, atheists were just they just don't believe in God. That's how I grew up. I never had a lot of my family is atheist. My dad was agnostic.
Right.
So many people are my friends and are like, they don't believe in it. Or most of the people I say are like, I don't know if there is.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think there is, sometimes I think there isn't. But what new atheists are like what they call the 4 apocalyptic horsemen are like Christopher Hitchens, who I really despise, even though they say he was a great writer. I didn't read all of his stuff in the 60s and 70s, but he became a neocon, and he backed the war in Iraq, and he just became like...
He said women can't be funny.
Women can't, yeah, that was the worst article I've ever read. And people say he was funny. He's not funny. And I'm just hoping to get people annoyed by saying that. Because people are going to write in, hey, Kindler, you can't write crucifixions. That's the way I think they're going to say it. So, and then there's Sam Harris, and then there's Richard Dawkins.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the most, like, you know, like, if you want your atheism with an unpleasant British colonial vibe, then you go for Richard Dawkins. And then there's a couple other people. I can't remember right now. So it started about 10 years ago. Well, no, longer than that. But the thing is that they say you have to be aggressive and tell people they're stupid. Like, you have to, it's based on some kind of theory that they're being persecuted, which I'm not saying that they're not some places, but you know how people say they wouldn't vote for an atheist. They wouldn't vote for anybody. They wouldn't vote for a Catholic. They wouldn't vote for anything. Stop. It's like they base their opinion on Islamic people because they took a poll. Islamic people, they don't like the pictures of Muhammad with, you know, that people with his, you know, they're upset. Some people are upset that they show Muhammad naked with his balls. I mean, they're trying to provoke these people. So, and then they add, and they're in countries. A lot of this people from Islam are in countries where they're already oppressed, and then they're trying to. And so it's like, and Americans who thought Saddam Hussein was behind 9/11. So what do we conclude about that? But it's like we find out they don't like the things, and so they new atheists use that they don't like.
Right.
To say that there's something wrong with Islam, and then they pull. I'm sorry, keep cutting off.
No, that's okay. So new atheists essentially make a religion out of atheism. Would you say that?
Well, no, they would hate for you to say that. They would,
no, I'm saying, would you say that?
That it is a religion. You know, it is if you use the word
like
religion,
if you say a new atheist is sure there's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though it's
because to me, I think
there's nothing scientific about it.
Right. I use the old school definition of atheism, which is like, yeah, I don't really believe in anything. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, like you don't believe in it's like, you know, Ricky Gervais drives me nuts because like, I don't believe in your sky god. It's like, yeah, I was 7 years old when I realized the Bible wasn't meant to be taken literally. I mean, you can't be 56 years old and still think you're a genius because you're like, hey, people, I don't know if you think there's a purple, maybe there isn't a purple god. There's no purple bird god, people.
So let's talk about state of the industry. Your most recent album that just came out.
Oh, I like the way you say album.
It's an album.
Yeah.
I was listening to it, and I was maybe 8 tracks in, 7 or 8, and my husband heard it, and I said, this is his album. It's the state of the industry address, and I'm being very careful not to say State of the Union because my mouth wants to say that, but
I know,
it's not.
everybody does.
State of the industry.
I want to say
your
it.
annual address that you give at Montreal every year. Very, very famous, very well known. Who will he put the bite into this year? That's what they say, right?
Nobody is safe from my self-destructive, bitter-based envy.
Right, but he's a happy person. He thought
2 years ago.
Yeah, but anyway. So he said, is that the most recent one? And I said, yeah, I think so. Little did I know, it was the 1990. Well, I actually quickly realized when I heard some of the references, it was the 1996.
That's the greatest compliment I could have.
It's timeless.
It's timeless. I'm timeless. Yes, people say I'm old, out of touch. Hollywood has no interest in me. They don't like my idea for a show, Middle-Aged Jew. The guy just complains about the end of his life. Can't sell that anywhere. Disgusted
but it sounds
Jew.
So feel good.
Yeah, it's disgusted. Yeah, right. And no kids. You know, the only time you have young people on the show is for negative.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. So.
Well, I was just saying I was surprised at how much of. So this album was it the very first state of the industry?
Yeah. So what happened was, this is the very first day of the industry. So what happened was, I've debated all these years. I would put them on like mini discs. You know, I tried to record them, or my manager would record me on his video recorder. So all these years we talked about, should we release them? And then I was always of different minds about it. Like I was like, why do I want the grudges from 20 years ago available everywhere? And also I was wondering if if you're not in the room, it sometimes I think loses. It was meant to be seen in the room.
So just to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about, Just for Laughs is a big comedy festival in Montreal every year, and you give this now very famous / infamous address where you address the state of the industry, and it's a lot, and to a bunch of people in the industry.
Exactly.
And every year it's like, oh, who did he make fun of or criticize in a good humored way this year, etc.
Right. Except sometimes
not always good humor.
Sometimes it hasn't been good humor, and sometimes it's like it's all the lessons of life. It's like sometimes I was angry. Mm-hmm. The Opie and Anthony, the Anthony year, not Opie and Anthony year.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, and then sometimes it's almost, there is a sweet spot where it's like a roast, and that really maybe you could say ultimately is the best or the most pleasant to listen to. But sometimes I really was addressing things I believed in.
Well, it's just crazy to me that your gripes about the industry in '96, when I heard them, I didn't realize that it was about '96. I thought it was current. Well, until you got to the Robin Williams stuff, and then I'm like, wait a minute, this is not current. And
or
then
even the Whoopi Goldberg stuff.
Weirdly, that went right by me. Burt Reynolds,
yeah.
Warren Littlefield was after I realized what year this was. But it's the same industry still. Well, it's the same exact thing now as it was then.
The thing I like about this one is like, I was like, if I didn't like listening to it, I wouldn't have put it out. I sound like I'm selling it. But the thing is, it's also interesting to me because you can see the negative sides of me, or you could see what I was mad at. Like I got bumped from Letterman once, and this was before I'd done all those things for Letterman. So to me, it's like, it's interesting to see how vulnerable or how some of the stuff I said I wouldn't even agree with today. You know what I mean?
Like what?
But, when I said, for example, like, I think there was like Robert Morton and those guys, wanted to have Letterman show be different at 11:30, but I don't think that's what he went through all these different things. To me, he's the greatest talk show host of all time, and he went through all these different things. But when after his heart stuff, I think he came out and had it was like such a catharsis that I think he got the way he was like in the 80s, more comfortable, and then the theater felt more intimate, and it was it was the greatest show. But I think in that time I was very frustrated because I got bumped once, or I heard Robert Morton say something about we have to be different at 11:30, and I was so angry, so I was focusing my anger there. So it seems like silly when I look back at it, but I think that's interesting. Unless I'm not saying I would, if I saw something really embarrassing about myself, I would try to hide it, hire private detectives and bury it and leave the country.
So you were saying that you had these on mini discs, or you had recordings of them all these years, and you were wondering whether to release it or not, right?
Well, this one I think was actually from my managers. It was either the festival. I forget what the source of it was. Mm-hmm. But then I never decided to release them because that's my whole problem is moving forward. But starting a few years ago, it got to be a very weird thing as social media took off and all these like secondary journalism things.
Right. It was on SoundCloud.
Yeah. Well, but the SoundCloud was a solution to a problem that earlier was people started reporting on the speech having not seen it. So like the one line was, Kindler calls Corolla Hitler.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't seem to be kidding. And it was just like enraged. One time they thought that an interview about the speech was the speech. So then I started to get so mad about that when I first made that, it's like a deal or whatever with SoundCloud. Like, yeah, great, please. Mm-hmm. I just let go of that whole thing about it being a secret or, I don't want it misreported on.
Right.
So now after every speech, it's released the same day for the last few years. But there's 20 years where people haven't heard it. I'm not threatening anybody now that I'm going to release the rest of the year. Please don't get worried. You will not be charged like a Time Life book.
But what made you guys decide to release this one now?
Someone approached us.
Okay.
Yeah, Comedy Dynamics, who I've been doing some stuff with. I think they approached my manager, Bruce, and asked him. And I think Bruce was like, then we debated, should we start with recent ones? And then I said, then I think Bruce said or whatever. The first one was kind of noteworthy because the speech started. I gave I wrote an article. I'm sorry, I'm boring everybody. I think I'm boring everybody.
No, you're not.
But no, I know I know that I'm compelling. But I wrote an article for National Lampoon about how to be a hack comic, and then I did a demonstration about how to be a hack comic, and then I started to do this speech about what's Bruce Smith came up with the name State of the Industry, and then it wasn't planned to have gone on for 23 years. It just did.
Mm-hmm. Do you already know what you're going to talk about this year?
I know some things.
What are some things?
Well, the Fallon, I'm going to just brag about how I was ahead of the curve on Fallon, because I had that joke about him. Then when he rubbed or tasseled Trump's hair, it really shows something. Also, you can't see this, but I have a joke. The Jimmy Fallon ride, Universal, you have to be this easily amused to go on the ride. The parents love it, though, because it's all safe, mainstream. There's no risks on the Jimmy Fallon ride. Keep your hands inside the comedy. I just came up with that. And that, I hope, will be on the voluminous notes.
Jeff, get to typing. I have a question for you.
Please.
You seem unafraid to go after targets. And there's an account I follow on Instagram, and I have something negative to say about it, but I know that it might get back to them. And it's a company. It's a company that I happen to follow. And I think their product is somewhat shitty, but novel, but shitty. But like every time I see their photo, I have the same reaction of like, I want to say something about it, but I just don't, because I just don't want to say something mean about this company, but who cares? It's a company. But you don't seem to have this compunction.
Right. Now, the thing is, you're making a decision, like, is the value of me saying this going to be worth the chazarai?
Is that a word?
It is.
What does that mean?
I always forget. It's like nonsense, all this nonsense.
Oh.
Chazarai. Chozzerai, Yiddish.
Okay.
Yeah, so you say, I could say this, but then I'm going to get, do I want to read all these feedback things?
Mm-hmm. No, it's more, do I want to out of nowhere go after someone who's just trying to like live their life, even though it's a company? Yeah.
And I think for most people, that's a very wise decision. And for most people, including myself, when you get like over the top on Twitter, you always regret it. But I am actively doing this kind of material. Like one time I did a thing about I used to do a joke about the Wayans brothers in the old days. I said the Wayans brothers.
It's on the album. Well, there's some Wayans material on the album.
That's right. And as they're setting African Americans so far back, I'm thinking of starting up the Underground Railroad. Be like me coming out with a show called Jewy. Jewy. I want the price lower, Jewy. Don't be so Jewy. And then when Marlon Wayans was proposed for the lead in the Richard Pryor story or something, I made some. I'm not saying it's a great joke, but just your standard issue, Richard Pryor spinning in his grave remark. And he came back at me with like very graphic. His thing may have been homophobic.
Uh-huh.
And then I just blocked him and it's like, oh, okay.
Did you respond or just
No,
blocked?
I just blocked him. I was going to come back to him with a very Pryor-like response. Because it was like just not Pryor-like.
Right.
So, because it was just like, suck. He wanted me to suck his thing.
Really?
Yeah. So I know now that those guys, I forgot that those guys hate me. They wouldn't do Mad TV because I did that joke about them on Mad TV. But like, it was better in the old days before Twitter because I don't want confrontation. But so I make the decision because so much of my jokes revolve around making fun of something.
Right.
So I would have to do it. But I still, a lot of times, like, they always think punch up, punch down, or punch, whatever the thing is, kiss up, punch down. I've done jokes about people where I go, why am I going after this person?
Right.
So, because I don't believe in that Bill Maher lie that a comic should never apologize, and whatever a comic says is fine, because that's just an excuse for him to be a jerk. Mm-hmm. I think it's totally fine that you question what you do. Not you, Allison. Me. But me.
Oh, you.
Well, me.
Narcissistic.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I'm narcissistic because I'm so self-involved.
You need an outside perspective.
I might or might not be narcissistic. I can't stop thinking about myself. I don't know why it turns me on in the bedroom to think about myself. Good night, everybody. This is my new, I have all-purpose punchlines, and I'm telling you, you could do this in your life. The kids at home can do it. Anything can be funny if you reference that's what happened on your wedding night. And I encourage you to use it.
Like an example, please.
Well, like someone goes, oh boy, my back has been hurting. That's exactly what I said on my wedding night. So now my back is hurting. So now people assume you had a lot of sex. It's on your wedding night.
Right.
Or, no, I don't want that. That's what I heard on my wedding night. Sir. Well, they're all going to be the same. It's so hard when I get to manufacture the fake premise.
But here, I'll come up with one.
Okay.
Did you enjoy the soup?
Did I enjoy the soup? What? It sounds like you were there on my wedding night. That's what the most off-putting thing my wife said to me on my wedding night. So did you enjoy the soup? Now they think it's vaginal liquid, and everybody has a good day. See, you see, what I'm trying to do is diffuse the vulgarity by saying vaginal liquid. But I don't think it does. I'm not so high and mighty.
Oh, as opposed to the other term, which would use that word that you used when you came out to L.A.?
Yeah, or anything like that. When men talk, like, you know how the women talked on Sex and the City?
Sure.
And they said that's how women talk? Mm-hmm. My reaction was, cut it out. Meanwhile, downtown. Meanwhile, Miranda was at the corner of I'm going to come and I'm going to go.
Which girl were you?
I love that one. And now I would say I'm who's the redhead?
That was Miranda, yeah.
I'm very much like her.
You're a Miranda?
Yeah. I'm secretly gay. I'm sorry. That was wrong. She is gay.
Yes.
She wasn't secretly gay, but people couldn't be gay back in my day. You could not be gay. And everybody who was gay, except for 3 or 4 brave people, concealed it. Just like I conceal any footage of my early act. You know, like Ellen DeGeneres, she couldn't say she was gay. And that's what I think is so great about comedy right now. As bad as the world is in terms of that we have a raving lunatic madman who could incinerate us all, but it's not going to happen.
It's not going to?
No, because you have a beautiful baby, and he must be impeached soon, which he will be. Then you'll just have Mike Pence.
It's funny how that's like, oh, phew. Just a guy who's also horrible, but not insane.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that he's not insane also, because he does that. He looks
less so.
He looks like this.
He feels more like the enemy you know.
Right, but he would be, if there wasn't Trump,
right,
he would be terrible.
Yes,
you'd be like you would be mocking him because he's mockable. When he was governor of Indiana, and he was like,
right,
you didn't get the feeling he knew what he was doing.
But I am afraid of all-out nuclear war.
I am too,
and I think with Pence, I would have less of a fear of that.
Absolutely.
But how realistic is, Jeff, you can chime in too. You have a mic. How realistic is this fear that we're all going to be vaporized?
There's a lot of discussion about what safeguards are in place. Can somebody actually say no if the president decides that he wants to launch nuclear weapons for some reason? And I haven't heard a lot of discussion saying that there's really anybody that could stop him.
Yeah.
Somebody could stop him if they decided to stop him. And that would be a decision that they would make in that moment. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to tell people. All I'm saying is, if he says, oh, can I drop a couple of things on North Korea? You either say, like, I didn't get it, or, oh, you know what I mean?
Oh, right. You mean the people who actually carry out.
You got to go, excuse me, what was that again? You just keep delaying. But the bad thing about that is, what if we have to launch something on North Korea?
Right. Like, what if can North Korea reach us?
Not yet.
But that's what they keep saying.
Right.
Like, where's the clock on this one?
Well,
not yet, but how soon?
A couple of years. I don't even know.
It's not comforting.
It's not comforting. I'm fascinated by the fact that Kim Jong-un finds explosions so hilarious. Every time he's setting off those bombs, he turns to the people next to him and they're laughing hilariously. I know you don't want to laugh. You know why? You have a new baby. Mm-hmm. We have to not... There's no good that can come from living in fear. So
I know.
We have to
there's
take,
nothing I can do about it.
We have
but
to take
it's still
action.
Scary.
And I think that when I saw your baby, and I'm not lying about this, I know the Messiah was coming, but I did not know that I would be reborn. And I feel weird that you put me through a baptism, that you had me bring frankincense and myrrh. And that
Was
you
that
called your
unusual in
baby
some way?
Jesus. You called your baby Jesus. You're not fooling anybody. Am I embarrassing you?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
No.
Because I can't tell. This is old Andy. And did I say something? Like, a partner non-churla?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know who that is.
Yeah. So she was like, her joke is, did I smile at that barista funny? That's exactly how I am. I'm always afraid that I've gone too far.
Yes, I am too.
Well, also, you want your privacy as a mama.
No, I talk about him on the show.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it's fine.
All right. So why are you looking at me weird? And you know what? Here's the thing. The truth is, you're probably exhausted, but because I have to have a computer brain of what I've done, I have to come up with a lot of.
You're checking my reaction.
You could use it as a weapon against me. OCD head, back off a bit.
No, I have that too, though. I feel like some of it is just being human. I hope everyone has this to some degree. Just that sense of like that exchange I had. Did I do anything wrong? Is anyone upset with me? Did I do anything weird? Is something weird? Am I weird? That's got to be just being human, right?
Yes, you have OCD if it's out of control.
Right.
If you think about. Like, one of the reasons why I have trouble in life is because I think if I was rude or something, it's the end of the world.
Right.
So then I have to defend my behavior. Whereas if you're more healthy, maybe you would think, it's natural to think if you've hurt someone's feelings, but it's not natural to then go home,
be consumed by
build
it.
an altar, start a survivalist movement based on it.
Hey, look, I'm thinking of moving just because it's a silverfish.
Well, let me tell you something. If you guys want to go in on one of these vacuum sealers, I'm fascinated with the vacuum sealers.
What do they do?
Like, let's say you open up some pretzels. You get the vacuum sealer, you seal it back up. That pretzel is ready to eat in 45 years.
I've seen those actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you can just store it under your bed with your clothes you don't wear.
You don't need refrigeration. You don't need pleasure.
Let's take aforementioned questions on Twitter.
When we ask, they send them in. They're wondering how you have been. So thanks so much for answering these questions from our fans.
I love that singer. That's you, right?
No, that is Tom Rapp. He does all the music for the show.
Let me play it again because I'd like to throw a harmony in there. Whoa!
When we ask, they send them in. They're wondering how you have been. So thanks so much for answering these questions from our fans.
One more time. Let me lay down one more track. Ooh! Oh no, sorry, that was bad. I would like to do it in the right key. Not off key. Okay, let's say and go. Quack quack, bang bang bang.
When we ask, they send them in. They're wondering how you have been. So thanks so much for answering these questions from our fans.
My dog barked at you. That's how good it was.
I love your doggy. Your doggy has what looks like Cocker Spaniel. Your doggy.
She's a spaniel.
I had a Cocker Spaniel when I was a kid.
What was her name?
Timothy. Yeah.
It was probably a boy.
Yes, it was.
I don't know why I said what was her name.
Because you're a sexist.
Clearly, that's why.
You're a feminist. These feminists all, yeah, with this feminism, now every dog has to be a woman? Thanks. No thanks, feminazis.
Okay, Steven Johnson says, what are your memories from playing the sports geek on the short-lived sports show on FX in 1994?
Well, FX had this sports show, and it's with this guy, Jim Rome, who I never liked at all. And I actually actively disliked him. And anybody remembers LA in the 90s, he taunted the quarterback of the Rams, like dared him, and then who pushed him over a chair. So anyway, but it's a famous story. But anyway, he's like kind of an unpleasant guy who's very, very like, grab a vine, get in the jungle, like that type of thing. So, and he has a sports show, but then he became the host of a sports show, and he wasn't like, he probably thinks it was my fault the show got canceled, but he wasn't good at being a sports reporter. That's not his shtick. Jim Rome is burning, and I played a geek, the geek. It was like kind of like a Max Headroom. I didn't write the part. I didn't write the words, but it was like a disembodied head that was float around, and I would say things. I think the Carolina Panthers will win by 2. Oh, Jacob Marley. And so I thought it was the cheesiest thing I've ever done. And my manager on the East Coast, for some reason, loved it, or loved to say he loved it. But then Jim Rome talked about me later on, like how horrible how horrible that character was, and it's like you get like, yeah, believe me, that wasn't what stopped people from watching you. They want the person delivering the sports scores to be likable. Thank you.
Okay, Jacob M says, can you ask him what the meaning of life is?
Well, that sounds like something my brother says. And my brother says it when he's trying to stall and throw you off. He doesn't really want to know what the meaning of life is. My brother is like a reverse Zen koan guy. Like what is the sound of one hand clapping? Mm-hmm. My brother asks you a question that does not have an interesting answer to throw you off. The meaning of life is, I would say, is to find what you love to do and to try and do it and be in the moment with it. And I sound like a weak Tony Robbins, but it is kind of like I feel very lucky that I'm a comedian and I found that that's what I love to do. So I felt like I went with my heart. And I'm just saying that just to say, sorry, losers. I went with my heart. I followed my bliss. What have you done? I want to turn my positive spiritual experience into a negative for the others. Yeah. Don't try it at home.
I was actually just thinking recently, that all motivational, self-empowering, self-help, all of that stuff can actually serve to, I think there's so much good that can come from reading all that stuff, and I can definitely get into reading it. At the same time, it can also make you feel like shit if your life's not where you want it to be.
Well, because they are actually using old, like The Secret was the worst of it. It's like they're using Eastern principles, but they're like misinterpreting them,
to get shit.
There's no way in the world that anybody believes that every single thing you believe will come true.
Right.
The point is like when you see great athletes and they're in the moment and they're in that zone, you can get in that zone, but then everybody else is also putting their energy out into the universe. I think your energy can be powerful, but these people are just trying to sell books and stuff.
You know what it is? I think I didn't watch the video, but someone that I follow on Twitter, who in general I like a lot, I think made a YouTube video saying essentially like the difference between those who earn $4 million a year and make $40,000 a year is just like a choice you make. And I kind of felt like, well, fuck you.
Yes.
There's plenty of hardworking people who aren't making $4 million, and it's to say it's just a choice suggests that if you aren't, you just haven't chosen to be, financially successful. And it's like, I feel like that actually is insulting to a lot of people.
Well, also you're picking something like that's you're picking something that doesn't even exist, which is that it's not even real. Like I'm going to make a certain amount of money.
Right.
Right. So, and that's where I'm placing my value in. And there's so many factors in there anyway. And look, Trump makes a lot of money. He's an idiot. If he does make money, who knows what he makes.
Right. That's questionable as well.
But I think the thing is that when they say, there's a very dangerous thing it's like, here's the way you can defeat anything that's like you create your own reality, which is, again, a misinterpretation of a deeper Eastern thing. It's like, if you create your own reality, it's like saying, how do you then stop and you go, oh, the Jews wanted to be a victim of the Holocaust? So it's misunderstanding or a distortion of a complex thing that could apply in some cases, but you're using it that people go, you want to know the secret? Give me 1995, and that's pretty cheap.
I was in group therapy briefly, and I hope I'm not violating. Well, hope I'm not violating anything by talking about an issue that had come up that was someone else's in group therapy, but it was a long time ago. It was across the country, and no one will know who I'm talking about. There was a guy in the group who had a disease that affected. That's how much I'm trying to not reveal. I'm not going to say what disease it was, but it affected how he moved and his muscles and his ability to speak clearly and stuff like that. And his belief was it's because his energy was bad and he wasn't harnessing energy properly, and that's why he had this disease. And it broke my heart hearing about it, because it's like, essentially he was blaming himself for it. Like, if he could just get in the right mental space, was his belief, he would be free of this disease. When it's like, no, this is 100% biological. It's probably genetic even. I don't know. So I feel like that can be the limit and the reverse of this self-empowerment way of thinking. Is that sometimes it's beyond your control.
Well, maybe the only thing I'll say is if on a certain level, I do feel like if someone finds something that works, it's like, I always get so upset when people, when people get upset that sports people refer to God. They go, oh, how come you didn't refer to God when you lose? Well, actually, they do say win or lose, thank God. But the point is that there are certain things like, when you see someone like Magic Johnson and you hear him talk or you saw him play, you would see that his belief in himself sometimes propelled him forward. And that's what I say I have pity is like, if you're locked in your head all the time, there's certain things art, music, painting, dancing, they're not riddles that you figure out. Right. They go beyond speech. And,
I do think there are all sorts of ineffable things.
Right. So it would be legitimate, but if you get it to like you're blaming yourself, right? Maybe that works for that one person though, but it wouldn't work for me.
It seemed to just make him upset. I mean, my feeling was, I guess it's a way of maintaining control, thinking that like he brought this on himself. Then there's the idea that he can be free of this thing, but I don't. Right. I don't know. The whole thing made me sad. And on that sad note, let's do Just Me or Everyone. But first, I just want to say, hey, you guys, if you're going to buy something on Amazon, perhaps the new Andy Kindler's new album. Is that on Amazon?
I think it is on it. Yeah, it's on all of those things. It's a digital download. I think it's like $2 or something.
Oh my God. You can't afford not to.
At that, as I've always said, at that price, you can afford not to like it.
That's right. Click through the banner on my website, AlisonRosen.com. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Thank you for the Amazon support. Also, I'm on Patreon, patreon.com/Alison Rosen. There's all sorts of different reward levels. You can get bonus episodes every month. You can get access to an interactive video stream. It's a level where you get merchandise in the mail. It's super fun. A lot of interaction with me. I know that's what you arrive for. Patreon.com/Alison Rosen. Okay.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
Okay, so this is where people write in with things they think or do, and they wonder, is it just me or is it everyone? JMOs for A-Rose says, when stuck in a conversation and getting antsy, I look for someone else's watch so I don't seem rude or impatient looking down at mine. That is so smart.
That's a great one.
I want to look at the clock all the time in life. And it's not because I'm trying to get out of the situation. It's more just like, oh, how much time has passed? What's going,
I always say, what day is daylight savings time again? That's what I do. Because they know something's wrong, but they don't know what.
Right. Okay, Maddie Porter says, seems rude to have coffee right before a morning dentist appointment, or do they even care?
That's ridiculous. You go to the dentist with a clean mouth, when I have to have a later appointment at the dentist, it requires several days of planning.
What has to happen?
Fanny pack with floss, toothbrush, and whatever else you use for your teeth.
Right.
Toothpaste.
Water pick.
Yeah.
Headgear.
That's the worst when you bring a water pick to like the bathroom next to your dentist.
I've never really gotten a lot of use out of a water pick. I had one when I was a kid. Mostly just because I thought it looked fun. Wasn't that fun?
I think that will probably go down in history as being completely useless.
I think they're for people with braces, maybe.
Maybe I had braces and I didn't.
Same.
Yes, you could spray water into an area and loosen food. Big deal.
Water pick. So high and mighty.
Yeah.
You just spray water. You're just a tiny hose.
No, once they had floss, all those other things were. Sorry, water pick.
Pearl.
There's a new floss in town.
It's called floss.
I don't know what I was going.
Pearl says, feel like I missed the official announcement, switching from movie previews to trailers. I'm 40. When did this happen? Yeah, I don't know when they started being called trailers.
Oh, I thought that the person was accusing you of doing something.
No.
Like you moved from, what did they used to be?
Movie previews.
Well, because what is she, 90? I don't know.
She's 40.
Well, what
She said it.
Do you also say it too? Do you feel that way too?
No.
I don't want to make fun of this person, but I always feel like it's either me or the other guy.
Right. So for you, it's not just me or everyone. It's just me or you.
I don't remember calling them picture reviews.
Movie previews.
Oh, movie previews. You mean like when you would go to the movies?
Yeah. When did we start calling them trailers as opposed to movie previews?
Oh, I wonder.
Well, wait, they still call them previews though.
Sometimes they do. But I bet the word, in the old days, you had to go into a trailer.
To see a trailer?
To see a preview of a movie. And that's why they called them trailers. I wish I could be like one of those straight dope people, but it's all lies.
You're like a Snapple real fat come to life, but
Who?
false. On Snapple cans, they have those Snapple real facts.
And are they always fake?
No, I don't think so. But I'm saying you're like one of those, but phony. Becky Milliner says, the sound of two pieces of styrofoam being rubbed together makes me feel like my teeth are going to fall out. Oh, she didn't write of my head, but I felt like that was where that sentence was going.
Well, I read Todd Barry's new book, which was hilarious.
I want to read that, and I also want to get him on the show, but he lives in New York, that bastard.
Yeah, he would be great on the show. If you want someone to complain for 4 hours. This book...
I'm curious how his Tom's deodorant was.
Todd Barry complains more than anybody in the world and is funnier than anybody in the world at complaining. And he must have gotten a book deal by saying, hey... I want a longer format to complain about everything. I mean, he covers it all. The drains that don't drain in the hotels, the motel room where if you looked outside, you could see how you could get into the room. He always changes his room. He almost always changes his room. But he has, the reason why I'm bringing it up is his book is hilarious. He has I've never heard this. Misophonia.
Oh, yeah. Misophonia.
Misophonia.
Or maybe it's misophonia. I pronounce it like miso soup. Yeah, that's where you get super irritated by repetitive or just maybe not repetitive, but noises bother you too much.
Yeah, and there's like one thing can trigger it. So like with Todd, it's like people smacking, like he can't eat. They eat in the green room with him. Right. It drives him crazy. Huh. So I thought maybe that's what so that was
two
a long way around.
Two pieces of styrofoam together. I appreciate how invested you are in the segment, though. Bringing stories.
Well, that was the follow-up album to Beck's Two Turntables and a Microphone was two pieces of styrofoam
rubbing together.
Do you think that was worth me going that whole trip for that joke?
No.
Okay.
No, maybe. I don't know. I liked it.
See, this is my contention. When they say yes and, it's funnier that you said no.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's think. Okay, let's do it again. Give me
Do you
a
think
chance.
that was worth? Do you think that was worth me going all that distance for that joke?
Yes.
It still works.
But it was more fun the
it's
first
a joke
time.
about someone who can't make up their. It's a joke about someone who would think about whether they'd laugh.
Okay. Sarah says, no, we already did that one. Brian Ruiz says, I often wonder what lost or stranded people do to trim their nails when I hear about extended survival situations. I think you have to just bite them off or like rub them against a rock or sand. Or maybe you have crazy nails. I don't know.
You just experienced what happens to me all day long is I completely spaced out. What does the person do?
He wonders, when people who are lost or stranded, he wonders, how do they trim their nails?
Oh. Would you wonder that?
No.
You mean like
I haven't
what?
wondered, but I mean, now I do.
I would worry first about starving to death or dying.
Right. But then the nails.
Oh, then I would. I think you watch a lot of Gilligan's Island, and you figure out how they gerrymandered all that stuff.
Their nails were awfully neat on Gilligan's Island. Other than that, it is believable.
Other than that,
Other than that, it could be a documentary.
and one of my first jokes. I'm not saying it was a good one. Was like, that Gilligan boy, he had to go through all those things. He had to live on the other side of the island, and he didn't get residuals. Yeah. Had to do all those wacky stunts. Had to put an animal under his hat, and he got no residuals. Not right. And people loved it. My early jokes.
Really? And yet you won't release that material.
What do you mean, my stuff about the bicentennial? So funny. Hey, what's up with this bicentennial? My Y2K, I think I had some of the best Y2K. I had a Y2K, why not 2K bit that killed until 11:59 on 1999.
What if you just tried to bring it back?
Tonight we're gonna do Y2K jokes like it's 1999. Ba-da-ba-ba-ding. I miss Prince every day. Thank you.
Okay.
Now, did I sing too much of that song? I don't want anybody. I don't want BMI
I don't think BMI listens.
up my ass cap.
Okay, and lastly, Angela P. says, and this is speaking of timely stuff, have difficulty listening to podcast episodes recorded prior to the USA election, #impending doom. Well, look, I don't know that she's pointing a finger at me. However, I did bank some episodes before I had Elliot, and a few of them aired after I had him, but were recorded before the election, and that probably sounded weird to people.
When was your baby born?
February 3rd.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm. There were a couple stragglers that had, it's a long story why. I can't remember. Oh, I think I aired some current ones before I got to finishing.
I think
out
you made
the-
a couple of your babies were stragglers.
Yep. I banked a couple babies.
Are you saying you had 3 babies, but you let
had-
2 of them go because they were stragglers?
That is what I'm saying.
This kind of comedy is hilarious. People love
Misunderstandings. Yeah.
women, missing children bits.
Right. In general, I find it is crowd pleasing fare. So anyway, do you agree that it would be difficult to listen to a podcast that you know was recorded before the election?
I understand what the person is saying in the same way that, like, if you're watching a movie and it's about something that happened in the past and they're approaching 9/11, your mind is like, the rest of my life, I'm always going to be like, remember what that feeling was before and after 9/11.
Right,
And so,
right.
So I do get what it's like, but it's depends on the podcast too, right? Like
Yeah.
if it's like a Science Friday.
Science Friday is my favorite of the Science Friday podcast. Now that you say that, it's making me realize that she's probably not talking about me, and it probably is just more in general the sort of like naive hopefulness that one could hear before.
Do you
November
have
11th.
OCD?
I don't not. I mean, it has not been diagnosed, but I'm certainly compulsive about a number of things.
Do you worry about what other people think of you?
Oh, yeah.
But not overly worried. Like you wouldn't.
What's weird is after I had the baby, I found that I was suddenly very insecure about a lot of exchanges that I'd had. And I don't know if it's because I didn't have enough sleep, or I just felt like I'm in this new role in my life and I don't know what it is. But like a lot of just text exchanges with other moms, or
Is that postpartum thing?
I don't know what it was, but I would like want to send 6 follow-up texts clarifying my first text just to make sure they understood that I didn't mean anything potentially rude. Oh my God, did that sound rude the way I said that? Like, kind of insane.
I used to be that way 24/7.
And then you got on Prozac, and now it's all better.
It's all better. But no.
Is there any downside? Because I actually just recently was thinking, well, because I've never been on an antidepressant, but it's certainly been recommended to me by people who love me and live with me. but a therapist has never recommended it. But like I said, people in my home have wondered if I would not benefit from it. Throughout pregnancy, of course, I'm like, this would be the wrong time to try it. But now I'm like, maybe I should. I don't know.
Well, for me, I went and I just, like, I don't think every therapist is great. I just happened to find like a great therapist. And then I went to a doctor, like a psychiatrist, and have them evaluate me to see what they should try. And in my case, since it runs in my family,
depression or OCD?
No, OCD runs in my family. So it's like, it kind of made sense. I think it's definitely something, everyone if you're asking the question or if someone or a loved one
is begging you to please.
I think it's definitely something to explore. And I'm not advertising people should do drugs, but I think I was the other way with it. It's like people who kids have they did a long study and they said, no, kids really weren't overprescribed Adderall.
Oh, that's interesting because I've always believed that they were.
So did I. And that even stopped me from getting help for ADD.
Right.
Because I thought, oh
it's
yeah, that's what I heard about that. It's just a gimmick or whatever. But that's really not true. So I would think it really depends on if the stuff that you have, like the stuff that I'm OCD about, it helps me to think of it as an illness. And like, my therapist says, this goes way back. I don't know why that happened. This goes way back to the cave people days.
Right.
Like
getting into Twitter fights.
Well, the fight, flight,
okay.
or freeze. So what I'm doing in my head all the time served a useful purpose at one point in our evolution where that's what you had to do. So it's just like it's like I think we've made a tremendous stride in drugs. But also, I've done comedy for 30 years. So I don't know if I tried it back when I was starting comedy, I probably would have been nervous about it.
Right.
But I feel the other way, I went too long without getting help.
Yeah, I mean, are there any downsides?
Yes, there are downsides because a lot of times, no, not from my, right now, dry mouth is one, I think is the only thing.
Oh, that's pretty minor.
That's pretty minor. But one of the problems if you are somebody who's thinking about it is the first thing you try might not work.
Right.
But I would like to see you in 6 months. I think that it's something to explore though. And one thing you can keep in mind was like one of my problems was I had to keep telling myself, oh, I can make my own decisions. You can make your own decisions about what you want to do.
Right.
And I'm more like, oh, they're going to make me take Thorazine or
right. They're going to put you in a straitjacket right when you arrive. Yeah. I know I have that too. This like fear of going to a new doctor for something or other. And it's like, well, just go hear them out. You don't have to do anything. Well, like for example, you know what? This is not interesting. But now I've already started to say it.
Say it.
Okay. So, I take thyroid medication and I recently had my thyroid checked and it looks like I'm they want to adjust something. And my OB is the one who I had it checked at her office and she said to me, do you have an endocrinologist? And she's like, here's what my recommendation would be. And I thought maybe instead of having my OB manage this, I only was put onto it when I was trying to get pregnant. So it's all related to the pregnancy. However, I am a little bit hypothyroid. So now it's being treated. But I thought I probably should just go to an endocrinologist. What if when I go, though, they want to do like a million tests, and what if it's a whole thing?
Well, all of those concerns that you have are real concerns, because I've heard like it's a lot of things. Like I'm going to an endocrinologist. I haven't seen them.
Is
yet.
it a whole thing?
Well, no, I haven't seen it. I haven't made the appointment yet. But it's the first time I've ever gone. But sometimes endocrinologists, you might not necessarily trust where they're coming from. The other thing is, I mean, it's a whole other kettle of worms, but bioidentical, like people take Synthroid, it's like, you might say, oh, it's a gimmick, bioidentical hormones, but they have found, and I don't go by my reporting on this, but they have found in Europe that they've been using bioidentical hormones for 30 years, and that it does, for some reason, it does act differently than synthetic hormones. Now, a lot of times people will tell you, no, it's the same thing.
Right.
I don't think they always know why it doesn't. It's like when they found psilocybin in mushrooms, it was the active ingredient. They could take it out and even give people psilocybin separately, but something about taking the whole mushroom. I'm not saying you should take the mushroom, but I mean, it's like years later, they might figure out a simple reason why the synthetic version didn't work.
Right. So
that's why it's hard. So like my wife and I took us years to find a good regular internist. It's very hard because the doctors, a lot of them, they think that they can be very bad with women. They're know-it-alls. So your concern's right, but what you have to do, I think, I don't know why I'm the answer man, but you have to get a good recommendation.
Right.
Yeah, like I got a good recommendation for a psychopharmacologist, psychiatrist, or whatever.
From your good therapist?
Yeah, the one therapist was like, she does therapy good, but she doesn't prescribe stuff.
Right. I so badly after this want to ask you who the therapist is, but you've already made it clear you're not letting the name out.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I'm not going to tell you on the air.
Oh, but off air you will?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, this has been very helpful for me personally. Listeners, I hope it's also been helpful for you. Andy Kindler, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I want to thank the studio audience who I didn't see.
They're tiny and they're invisible.
And
it's the silverfish. It's him clapping.
I like that callback.
See, thank you. It's not a callback. That's OCD. I have a real issue with insects.
I think that's normal, but are you like arachnophobia?
I don't know. I had ants in the kitchen, and then I found them in another place in the house, and that sent me into a tailspin.
I had ants in my pants.
That's the fear.
How come you guys didn't join me in some kind of rhythmic dancing? I got ants in my pants. Just the ladies now.
I don't know how it goes.
I don't know how it goes.
Okay. I didn't know if I was supposed to come up with a new rhyme or.
This is why we don't do a lot of this kind of sketch work.
Okay. We should workshop it more. I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were thanking the studio audience.
No, I think I was out of material about an hour ago. And but you didn't stop me, so I keep going.
Right.
And I'm fascinating just to hear me go.
Yeah, just
like jazz.
It's how his mind works.
It's like jazz. My riffing is like jazz.
Tell them where to find you and plug anything you'd like to plug.
Well, that State of the Industry thing, you can find that. I do these weird things. There's a thing I do called Coming to the Stage on Hulu, I think, where I bring up new comics who describes it worse than me? I bring up new comics and then I host the show, and then there's new comics, and that's fun. And then I think if you put the main thing to watch me is on Twitter, because it's if you want to feel better about yourself, Schadenfreude, and you see all the mistakes I make. That it's like kind of it's an interactive.
And you're at Andy Kindler.
At Andy Kindler.
Jeff, where can we find you?
I'm on Facebook and Twitter at Colonel Jeff Fox.
Follow me on Twitter at Alison Rosen, and follow the show's Twitter feed at ARIYNBF, and on Facebook at The Alison Rosen. Thank you for listening. I love you. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know?